General McCaffrey, I want to start with you. We heard H.R. McMaster say that Vladimir Putin's military could be on the verge of collapse. This morning, you called the weekend's events momentous. Where are we now after Ukrainian forces made even more gains today?
Well, it's an astonishing state of affairs. David and Goliath has turned the corner. The Ukrainians are essentially a nation in arms. They've got $17 billion of U.S. military technology. They've now, on the fly, integrated into their forces. They have dealt a devastating blow in the east to the Russian forces there for a decade or longer. That's been World War I, trenches, artillery warfare, grudging gains of a kilometer or two of ground. Now they've unhinged the whole effort by capturing Liman, the logistics and rail center. It may well be that will unravel the Russian position in the east. Then the strategic center of gravity is in the south. The Kherson pocket. What will happen? Are they capable of bagging 15,000 or more Russian so-called elite forces? So I think everyone properly is saying there's hard fighting ahead, but it looks as if the Russian military edifice is starting to come apart on them.
And so, Simon, you're well-sourced with Ukrainian officials in Kyiv. How are they reacting to these huge gains, and what are they willing to say about what comes next?
The mood in Kyiv is really great right now. They have quite a bit to give them encouragement in how they're doing in the war. Again, not only in the east but in the south, there are reports that their offensive in the south is advancing and that they're still pursuing that and having a lot of success. I mean, I think also, in terms of the morale, these 300,000 troops that Putin mobilized just last week, we haven't seen them yet making any kind of difference on the ground, and any discernible difference. And the Ukrainians' position is that we're going to push ahead. If you want to throw another 300,000 untrained conscripts into the fight, we will accept their surrender, or we're going to fight them. But the Ukrainians feel they're not going to make any difference on the ground. Those conscripts, those new Russian forces that are supposedly coming to the fight, and they're pushing ahead. Their aim is to take back all the territory, they say, that Russia occupied since the invasion in February. And indeed, they want to push ahead even further to take back Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014. So their ambitions are very big. They're pushing ahead with those, and they're in no mood to negotiate because they see the front line shifting in Ukraine's favor. I don't think they're going to sit down at any negotiating table while they're having these battlefield successes.
And, General McCaffrey, on Russian television and in the Russian press, which are all state-controlled, the loss of Lyman in eastern Ukraine has brought a lot of calls for military leadership to face harsh consequences. And we saw that criticism come during a Red Square concert celebrating Russia's illegal claims on these 4 eastern regions of Ukraine. What does this growing dissent we're seeing mean for Putin?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, he still has absolute control of his own personal security apparatus. He's got 4,000 people basically guarding him in his giant countryside dacha. It's hard to get to him with some kind of an assassination attempt, never mind take him out of power. He also has absolute loyalty, we think, for the internal repressive organizations, the GRU, FSB, et cetera. So he will be very difficult to dislodge. His life is at stake on this, his existential existence as a political leader. Russia is a pariah nation. It's coming apart economically. The military is failing. The mobilization's a disaster. So, as we look toward the future in the next several months, these are consequential times. If the Russian army unravels, Putin will be desperate. He'll look for some way out. Will he actually, it's completely illogical, consider the use of so-called tactical nuclear weapons? Will he cross that threshold? What would the target be? Murder 100,000 Ukrainians, attack a NATO force in Poland? So it doesn't make any sense. But I think the Biden team, Secretary of State Tony Blinken and Lloyd Austin at Defense are rightfully concerned to watch this lad. We can't, though, give him a way out. You know, this is a time at which the Ukrainian army is being told, gain and maintain contact with the enemy force and relentlessly conduct a pursuit. So, you know, you just can't say, well, let's give them a face-saving way out. They get a take on the battlefield, what they can get. And right now it's completely going in the direction of the Ukrainian armed forces.